In a perfect world, we'd have a perfect adaptation. Alas, 'tis not the world we live in. But as hard as it may be, try to cleanse your mind and cast your judgment aside as we travel into two versions of the very same world, leaving ourselves open to the things we may discover in the process. And of course, it goes without saying, these are our personal and humble opinions. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast, where we usually review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. But today, we're trying something new because we just ended our Berserk Conviction arc journey, and there will not be new Berserk videos for just a little while. We decided to go out with one more and react to Berserk, the 2016 version versus the 1997 version. We're going to be pitting them against each other, and we're going to be seeing which version is better, which version introduces the story, the character, and the world better, and finding out if the 2016 version is really as bad as everybody thinks that it is. There are a lot of people online that think the 2016 version is trash, and I have a feeling that they're going to be right. But what do you know about both adaptations, and how do you feel about them?
I watched the entirety of the 1997 anime. I did watch it.
She's talked about that on our episode.
Yeah, I've talked about it
before.
before.
The problem that I watched them.
Well, because it would have been nice to get your reaction live.
It would have been.
Yeah,
but it's okay. It's fine. You're good. I watched the 1997 version, all of it, and I was like, okay, this is actually really faithful to the manga, and I liked that. And then I started watching the 2016 because I heard so many horror stories about it and like videos covering it, and I started and I didn't finish the first episode, so I don't remember.
I know they introduced some characters a little too early, and I know that they take some liberties. Cody, what about you? What is your experience with them other than watching them moments before we started recording?
I don't remember which one is which, but one of them seems to adapt to the way people tell you to read it.
Oh, expand on that. What do you mean?
Well, one of them opens on the Golden Age arc. Mm-hmm. And that's where people tell you, like, oh yeah, don't even bother with the Black Knight arc. That's garbage. It's horrible. Ignore it. Start here.
Well, the movies that are going to be excluded from this video just because of how long they are definitely cover just the Golden Age arc. I think that one of them gets to the Golden Age arc a lot faster, for sure, cutting a lot of the Black Swordsman arc, other than maybe just his introduction. But yeah, I like the movies, actually. My
takeaway is, like, I think mangas are usually pretty timeless in art. I've never seen a manga where it's like, oh, that art is, I mean, they had great art, when they first invented paint. So like art will, but like animation is something where it's a technique that with like, that's still being developed. So
that's
that
actually
age
a great
is
point.
Much harsher than a drawing, which is like, you can be like, oh, that's like a 90s style. But it's not like I can't even look at it anymore.
Something else that we're going to look at is when they add like music and things to it too, like with the OPs and the EDs.
There was one I preferred.
Really?
No.
Well, let's just jump into it and let's find out which version is the definitive Volume 1 best version of the first.
We're going to do a voting thing, and the loser of the vote has to do something.
Has to read another confession? Is that what you're getting at? Oh, and by the way, we had to blur the video in the corner because the God Hand kept copyright striking us. But anyway.
Oh, there he is.
Was the man Godo.
Godo.
I like the way this looks.
Me too.
It does. You can clearly tell like it's old, but I like this style.
Especially in this sort of story. It fits.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those things already. Even this, I'm like, all right, turn the volume down. I don't want people to overhear this. Ugh. What are you watching?
It's a blacksmith.
It's a manga.
Oh.
I like this music.
I love this theme song. I love this OP so fucking much. It's so fitting for like.
I do not think it matches the vibe of Berserk at all.
No, it doesn't.
All right, there is one scene involving the water buckets.
Oh yeah.
You could put this over that and you're like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
It's just
a banger,
guts.
though.
It's just guts. That's why I love it so much.
It's a great opening. It's a great song. But
it's like, when did Guts go to high school?
Yeah. You're going to Hawks High?
You're joining the band?
Oh.
This is all right, yeah. All right, we're doing it, boys.
And we're watching the dub, by the way. It's just easier.
No, I like the dub. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone took a real 180 on the dub debate here.
Already this scene is different.
And turn your audio down now.
Yeah.
Your roommates hear it and they are assuming other things. I love the laser gun effect.
It's funny because there's like no OST at this point. It's just silence. It's completely silence.
Which can definitely work to set the tone and
Yeah.
the mood.
I guess they could do a thing if no one else could see Puck in this.
Oh, that's a little headcanon for
Maybe
ya.
if that was the story that guy told him, he wouldn't have seen Puck, maybe.
Yeah, he's got a little Crollo vibe in him right there.
Krollo?
Yeah, a little Hunter. You wouldn't know anything about that. I wonder how much my stepmom got paid to voice this in this scene.
Yeah. Does she listen? Did she know? Some marketing teams.
They took some liberties, just like,
Well, I
some
think-
things do to progress the story.
Well, yeah, and they're really trying to do their best. I mean, we have to take into consideration the times, but they're wanting to do their best to like hook someone who knows nothing of this world and these
Yeah.
characters.
Okay.
I really do like the VAs in the dub for the Berserk 1997. Like Guts specifically, I really do enjoy.
I do love this, but this is like to your point of like, okay, this can now this lives in a certain time.
This is one of those things, like they're doing this shot to like save money on animation, but I do think that's a cool shot. I love the background dialogue doesn't seem as weird when you're reading it.
Oh man, it's such a weapon.
Such ferocity.
Oh
That was a funny. Stop it.
no!
That's how I want villains to be defeated.
Yeah.
I don't like when they're just taken out in one hit. I love that he's like, how does it feel? Like this is what you would have done to me,
Yeah.
right? People call that anti-hero. I call that
Justice.
yes.
That's what Guts does best.
Let's judge the ED too.
This is a good combination of bard music and modern rock.
This fits.
He's haunting.
I think it's because his mouth looks so small right there.
Casca.
This is a great soundtrack for a high school dramedy.
These people again.
I
characters.
fucking love Corcus, man. I've come around. I've done a full
Holy
360.
shit.
or
You
180.
really submitted that.
Farnese?
Oh, Rickard.
Oh.
No, that's Rickard.
Fernie.
He does look like he does look like Farnese. Yeah, I could vibe to this. All right, what do we think about how the first 1997 version did?
I had a great time.
I like what it
Again.
did, right? I think it holds up the animation. Keeping in mind the limitations that they had on them, keeping in mind that, like Cody said, like animation does feel like it can be or belong to a certain time. Like I think it still holds up fairly well.
Yeah, the animation wasn't bad. My issue is mostly removing Puck.
I just, like I said before, it's like they didn't want to just add him for the first episode and then they do the time skip and then you wouldn't see him anymore. So it just would feel kind of weird, especially if they didn't plan to do like a second season to like introduce that character.
And you're
it would
right,
have
'cause
seemed
they-
out of place.
That would have been, you would have had Puck for about like 10 minutes of screen time, if that. We're also missing the entire arc with the Count, and we're missing his entire meeting with the God Hand, and we're with
the
our
guy.
the disfigured guy, and the origin of his behelit, and
Yeah, that's all cut.
all cut.
So
I mean, for time purposes,
But
like
see, I
that
don't-
would have taken probably majority of
could've
the
gotten
first
that in an
5
episode.
episodes,
that's,
4
well,
episodes.
that's also the plot. So I mean, for
Yeah.
time
Yeah,
purposes-
but they wanted to skip to the Golden Age arc.
I-
They
but
wanted
it's
to
what
meet
happens,
Griffith.
it's
They wanted
because
to
of-
meet Casca, the band of the like the band of the
Sure,
cock.
yeah.
couldn't help yourself.
Yeah, you really couldn't
I
have
really
So
just said it.
ingrained in your
But it's
head.
because of all that stuff that happened before that, like, it makes it's a more of an emotional payoff when we get to see
Yeah.
the reason that he is the way he is. And the
Although,
things
yeah,
that he does.
I was confused about arc structures because of like when the manga opens with the Black Swordsman arc and then there's Puck there. I got the order mixed up in my head. So I mean, that did if you're like viewing it from like an angle of like easing you into it, it was like easier to follow, I guess.
Well, let's jump into the 2016 version, the infamous 2016 version, and let's see how that is handled. Oh, we're getting Iron Chain Knights episode 1.
Wow, yeah.
I like how colorful it is. Is this CGI?
Yeah, and you know what? I got to say, from just this intro, I don't hate it yet.
I like the
See, we
the
don't know who
lines.
these
Yeah,
people
who is this? Who are these
Maybe
characters?
this was a mistake. Okay.
I don't. This is where I'm out
Yeah.
a little bit on the animation.
I love this music. This is definitely Berserk music to me.
Oh! Okay, the OP is
OP's pretty good so far,
it's
dude.
pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Is this the one people hate?
Yeah.
I like this one.
No, this is actually really epic.
Like it's CGI, but they add little like sketch lines to it that like makes it harder for me to even remember it's CGI.
I think you'll see it at its strong points and at its weak points throughout.
But I love the colors, the effects.
I gotta say, dude, this OP
is baller.
lit, dude.
Yeah. There's no confusion about like, does this work?
But see, look at the difference in animation in that just couple these shots here. There's something off. There's something different.
Yeah, I don't have a good mind for CGI and stuff. I don't have a problem with it. Like that, I don't want to say that looks fine, but
Bad, poor choice of timing.
Is this?
Wow, he's so
This is supposed to be
skinny.
Isidro, I think.
Yeah.
That's a cool way of introducing that
Oh
character.
my god, is that Puck?
I think he
Yeah.
has a way more interesting introduction in the manga. That serves him way better in the long run.
See, this is a combination of
Five
the
stories.
Black Sword. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
literally. His voice is a little too old for him.
See, something about this just doesn't seem very fluid. It seems very.
See, that's good. That
That's
looks
good.
fine.
That's
But
good.
this
This-
doesn't. It cuts. Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
why
no.
if you view it as a CGI movie, it doesn't bother as much.
But it's the fact that it bounces between being good and then being so terrible at times.
I love the music they choose for fights. Ooh. That's perfect.
It is, but it does feel a little heavy-handed.
Sounds it's a little heavy metal. Little
Very
heavy
heavy metal.
metal hand.
Already, it's less silent for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not saying it's a bad or good thing. It's just an observation. And see, I don't like that. See, there it looks good. Like at times,
I know.
again, it really.
it's kind of a bummer.
And then that just, it seems like it's rigged. Like there are these 3D models that are being like puppeteered.
like that doesn't even look that bad.
I think they nailed Puck in this.
Gods and gods
And butts and guts. I think this is a very good scene.
This scene is
Oh my
phenomenal.
god. Jesus. Pretty solid.
I like it. I like all
Cody
that.
likes it a lot, man.
Mm.
This might be a little controversial, but I love the sound his sword makes.
Oh yeah. Why is that controversial?
I don't know. It's kind of jarring and abrupt, but I like that it sounds like a slab of metal.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge sword. Yeah.
I think that's just fantastic.
I mean, Gus would do some shit like that.
Yeah,
and
he
do some
really
shit like
would.
that. I'm really digging the piano. I like the score, the composition.
Yeah, it's not horrible.
I was a little rude.
Look at his ears.
Puck's like,
Love
okay.
that, dude. Love that music.
The music rules. They replaced Puck like being like, oh, I can feel these things with, I guess, him hearing the voices haunting him.
See, I don't think this fits
You
I
think?
like the first ED a little bit more.
because
a
it's
little
the
bit
time.
more.
This is like they're just making it. I don't know.
So I mean, if you're gonna say the other ED like fit better,
I
than
didn't
this
say
one-
it fit. I didn't say it fit. I just think for the time they're trying to do a certain vibe.
Well, okay,
This
well that
is
can apply
this
to
is
this
too
too.
mediocre.
They're jumping right into the
Can we
torture
go to
scene.
Can we go to episode 2?
I need to see something
I want
real
to.
quick.
Can we go to episode 2 really quick, just for a scene? I think it's important to the story.
What I don't love about what this one did, and I want to hear your take, Cody, because you said that the animation doesn't bother you because you don't necessarily have an eye for it, and I think that there are a lot of people who probably agree with you. But for me, what I think I love about the 1997 version is that they did take time. They cut around a lot of stuff and cut to a lot of stuff, but they let these moments sort of sit for a while, these moments of silence, and there was no music, and it was jarring, it was different, it was like noticeable. And here it's like packed action, music, electric guitar, which is not a bad thing because that is an aspect of Berserk. But I do think that another aspect, like you said, is it does have this like level of heart and this level of like, oh, it can be this very beautiful story. It's not always a story about gore and violence and heavy metal music and themes. So I think that while the 2016 version did a good job of nailing those moments when they did, I don't think it gave enough time to like these quieter moments, at least compared to the 1997 version.
The music of the older one didn't really stand out to me. That felt like that was like I feel like the music, like, I mean, if you were gonna have music play during a fight scene, that's the music that you get like action music. I mean, it was interesting how the other one chose to not have music, but I preferred.
No,
that
and
one.
some
then
of
they
those
have
scenes,
like like you have shots of like sad piano music, which I mean, I'm for piano music.
I guess I'm not speaking directly to the music as I am the pacing of it. Do you think that this does a good job introducing somebody to the world of Berserk? Or do you think, I mean, and this is someone who has, I'm talking about someone who has no frame of reference for the manga. If someone comes into this having never read the manga at all, ever, do you think this is a good show for them to watch to get a feel for Berserk?
I would, if they were like, I don't want to read the manga, I just want to like check out the anime, I would say check out the 2016 one.
Wow.
I mean, if you check out the older one, they skip Puck entirely.
Well, I think that the reason we all three different people with three different tastes connect, and we have overlap, but I think that the reason we all connect to Berserk is because it has that heart, it has that action, and it does them both so well. And I think, I think the 1997 version tried to marry that a little bit better, those two feelings better than just like what felt like all action. But and I'm not saying that completely discredits the 2016 version either. I think that there was some of it that I looked at, and I will say for sure on the record that it is not as bad as my idea of it was from the things I've heard online.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I haven't heard what other people have said online.
So you think now? So I want to get back to my first question, and then we can compare them. As someone, let's say, who's never read the manga, you're saying that you would recommend the 2016 version to them if they only wanted to watch an anime.
If my roommate,
and this is excluding movies,
refuses to watch read manga, would be like, all right, I'll check one out. I'll be like, check the 2016 one out.
I would
Megan,
say
what would
1997.
You get,
Yeah.
I mean,
I would say
it skips a
1997.
main character. That alone is like, if you're gonna talk about adapting, and one of these skips over a main character, I would say go for the one that has all the characters. It's like,
but this one has too many.
They both take wild liberties.
Of course. But like Josh was saying too, like if you watch the whole thing, like you get to see who he is with the band of the Hawk. I think that's a super important aspect to Guts' character, and like feeling like connected to Guts and his relationship with Casca and Griffith, and seeing that blossom, and then at the end, totally the Golden Age arc. I mean, that was a huge part of me loving Berserk as much as I did. Cutting that completely out and going to Farnese and all these other different characters, it's like, yeah, sure, it's cool. Like I really do like the music. I like it felt more current, I guess, but I would recommend the 1997 version just because you see all those things. Just because Puck's not in it, I'm not going to tell people not to watch it.
So you do know that they skipped the Golden Age story.
Yeah, serving as a sequel to the Golden Age arc.
To answer the question that I was most interested in finding the answer to, is the 2016 version as bad as people say it is?
Honestly, the only thing that's bad about it is how much they skipped around and how much they skipped. Other than that, I don't think it's awful.
Even knowing the reason why. Even knowing that the reason why was because it had been covered before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about during the episode, it's like, yeah, some scenes are really, really good, and other scenes just, it takes you in and out, I feel like. And that's the worst part about it. It's like, if it could just all be, it feels all over the place in the animation. And if it was more like cohesive, I think it would be
What you'd think
really
with a series as beloved as Berserk, that it'd get a budget of it'd get whatever budget it needed. And there wouldn't be this sort of mixing of mediums and sort of this sometimes poor quality animation. You'd think they'd be like throwing all their money.
I think at that time they were under the impression that well, first of all, it's cheaper, yeah.
Yeah, and they did think that they could get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, because your people's eye for CGI increases every time a new one comes out.
Yeah.
But again, I don't have, like, when people tell me that, like, oh, like that person's face is clearly de-aged with CGI, I'll be like, I can't tell. I have trouble like telling, like, there's like super bad CGI that I'll be like, all right.
Yeah.
But that's like the stuff that like you could make on a computer now.
Yeah.
It's
But like it seemed the animation, but I don't really like have a mind for it or whatever. But it didn't take me out of it at all.
Do you think that you would have been equally as invested, though, had you not read the manga? If this was just something that someone showed you?
Well, because I am a sucker for that exact type of music.
Yeah. And kind of world, too.
Yeah, it got the
Megan wouldn't have been hooked. Cody would have.
the
for sure.
energy of the world. I mean, it opened with the supernatural stuff happening, which the Black Swordsman arc did. So I mean, like the old one, like they like, yeah, we wanted to like hold it for later. It's like, all right, sure, that is a wild adaptation to remove like a whole aspect of that world and change it for later. So if you're talking about rearranging plot elements, that's a big one. So like for a first episode to like capture the vibe, I think that one did it better. Like apparently it's gonna let me down, but what doesn't?
Great point. You're full of great points today.
There's no way I probably would keep watching the 2016 had I not read the manga at all. Like probably no way.
Yeah,
I don't like, no, it's just not good enough for me to keep watching. The animation keeps me in and out. I'm not connected to these characters at all yet. I don't know what the fuck is happening. I got a flashback to this. I saw the opening and I don't know who any of these people are. What is going on? I'd be completely took out. But obviously I'm connected to these characters, so I'm like, okay, I'll stay. But I'll stay because I don't want to.
But being connected to characters, you're fine with like them being removed?
He's stuck on this puck thing.
It's a point you made.
Okay. Like I said, there's no adaptation for the Black Swordsman arc except for 2016 that we get a little bit of, but we don't get a count ever, which would have been awesome animated. And it would have been insane if they did all that and then just didn't include Puck. Then I'd be like, okay, then maybe that's a big deal. But it wouldn't have been that at all, because it isn't.
You know, while the 1997 got aspects of it right, and the 2016 like got aspects of it right, I do feel like the 2016 version to me screams a little bit more of what people think Berserk is, which definitely is a part of it, but isn't all of it. I think it took a very like layered character and world, maybe for the sake of like not repeating things, and made it kind of streamlined it and kind of made it a little bit more one note. Neither one of them to be 100% capture.
You think the guts from the 2016 is more one note than the 19 whatever one was?
The 2016 version felt tortured, which is what I said in our conviction arc reviews, that I finally felt I got the sense for him being tortured, which this is covering the conviction arc, so that makes sense. What I got from the 1997 was he felt less tortured, and maybe I'll say like even tormented in 2016. And he felt a little tortured in the 1997, but mostly he felt maybe sad isn't the exact word I'm looking for, but he felt somber and somber for sure. And I think
synonym.
Yeah. And I think he for sure is both of those things.
This is where it's like, I wouldn't really recommend either.
For sure.
That's where this all comes from for me. Is it's like, I wouldn't recommend the 19, like it's like, oh, if you should get, what should I know about the Berserk story? You should read it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's where so it's like, okay, if you're not going to do that, and it's like, if I just want a dumb, like fun action thing to watch that like, like it gets like, so, again, like I didn't know they would skip Golden Age. That like changes everything.
Yeah.
But like, I would be like, all right, you should check that out then. So you get the gist of it. I mean, you get your action stuff. Otherwise, just read the manga, because like, if you don't like that, I can't imagine you being like, but I love the older one way more when I like really like sat there and watched it. If you're gonna do that, I would imagine you would love reading the manga more.
Yeah. There's no way I'm gonna be like, oh, you want to consume Berserk? You should watch the 1997.
Yeah.
No, it's read it. If you're not gonna read it, okay, you have two options. I mean, no, you have like three options because of the movies and stuff, but.
This is where, because in my mind, this person isn't going to read it and was like, oh, well, we should watch this together. Like, all right, let's get drunk and watch the 2016 version.
Yeah, and I guess, too, like...
I would not get drunk and watch the old version because I'd be like...
Sad.
Yeah.
It's
it's
sad.
The vibe would be very different. But I do think also these can exist for people who have read the manga, obviously love the manga, and maybe are caught up on the manga and just want to experience it in every way they can.
Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at right now. That's why I want to finish the manga so I can watch the 2016, even though it's bad. I just want more Berserk in my life.
I love the soundtrack of that. So like it's the thing of like, well, I know what happens. So
yeah, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I just want guitar riffs and him fighting things. I thought that was, and he does the whole like, I mean, they skipped a shot of it, but him like shooting the rocket into the air.
Because you're right, when you have read the source material, you can kind of check in and check out whenever you want.
And basically, in both, you have to do that.
Yeah.
So if I had to choose between one where it's like, I'm going to have to check in out on one of these, and I want the visual aspects of it, and that's what you're getting from an anime, right?
Yeah.
The emotional stuff, you still get that in a manga. So the only thing that they can't provide me is noise.
Yeah, no, 2016, I would argue, obviously, because it's a 2016 versus 1997, it's completely different worlds. 2016, great soundtrack, great sounds of the sword, great. I mean, all the elements in that, like, check the boxes for me. But the 1997, it's a little slower, and it's older, so the animation's not as okay, like, good, but
And they just cut to a shot of them like,
yeah.
I love the background noises they made in the old one. Where
Oh,
like,
yeah.
A little,
the guy,
so
the
overdramatic.
Snake Man saying "Stop it" after the 10th arrow in his face.
Stop it.
I'm like, all right. I mean, that's fun,
Stop
but also, it wasn't supposed to be funny.
What I think, like the answers to my questions that I think are not what I expected are for sure the 1997 holds up. There's a charm there.
Yeah.
And the 2016 isn't as bad as people say it is because, and I think you made a great point, as if you're not going to read the manga, that's on you. I mean, you should, that is the way you should consume this story.
No, this is the only, like, comic books, you don't get a thing that's like, here's the whole story. And then usually, we're going to, like, do a straight adaptation. They're not going to do, like, well, here's our take on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you have read the story, then what I think makes the 2016 version, while not a perfect masterpiece, it does at least allow you these moments where you can check in and experience the action and then check out when they get something horribly wrong. Yes, in a perfect world, it would be nice to have a version that does both so well and that is just good, regardless of having read the manga or not. But that's unfortunately not the world that we live in.
If we lived
yet.
in a magical world where they were told, like, okay, like every other anime where we're going to do a shot-for-shot adaptation,
Mhm.
and it's like you can choose between the 1980 studio or the 2016 studio, I would like to see 2016 studio do, like, the story beat for beat more.
And see, I understand where you're coming from, and I respect that is because you said that you prefer that as a visual style because you just don't notice things or things don't seem to bother you like they bother other people. And see, it does bother me. I would like to see a brand new studio tackle it and cover it. I mean, I guess if I had to choose between the two, it might be a little trickier. I would tell them to do what they're doing in certain shots, and in the other, like, more like rigged puppeteered shots, I'd be like, yeah, let's not do that. But they did show some potential, some animation potential in that episode.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to, I would love to see this tried again.
Oh,
I would
wouldn't
love to.
everyone?
And
What if they just got it?
Here's the wonderful thing. Because both of them took liberties, if you did a shot-for-shot adaptation, it would be completely different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I, like,
Bro, that would be insane.
just take that OP and
Okay.
take the soundtrack and then, put that over them, covering the emotional bits of the story, get piano music and combine the two, or
Get
better,
Guts theme in there.
get a Guts theme.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, I mean, if I read the manga and I'm like, okay, here's two anime paths, like two roads diverging in the woods here,
Yeah.
I would pick the one with the most heavy metal guitar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had a lot of fun watching this with you guys and talking about these episodes with you guys. Which version do you like the best? Do you like the 1997 version or the 2016 version? Why? And obviously everybody wants a new adaptation. But which studio would you like to see animate that?
Ooh.
You'd have to go with Mappa.
I mean, everybody's going to say Mappa for sure.
I don't know.
But I'm
that's
interested
that's
to
a
see
hard question.
Yeah, I'm going to see if there's anybody else who has another studio that they think would do a good job. Obviously, the moral is read the manga.
Read the manga and
Yeah.
then decide what aspect you would prefer to, like, see visually or, like,
Yes.
hear.
Yeah.
Because if you want to see the Golden Age arc adapted, you obviously have to watch the older one. But if you
Or
just-
the movies.
Or the movies,
or the
yeah.
movies. Well, that is two things that already did it.
Yeah.
I think they were just in a very tough spot.
Yeah, they really were. And
really were.
and yeah, probably a lot of people I know at that time were still upset. They were
Yeah.
like, what is this? And that's why I think it plays into everyone hating it so much, because it just doesn't make sense. They were expecting them to see this Golden
look-
Age arc again, and they didn't get that.
And look, if you'd like to see us talk about the movies and watch the movies, let us know. Because that's something that I think, I know me and Megan have watched them, but I don't think Cody has watched them.
I watched the first one.
Oh, you did? Well,
Yeah.
there's three.
And they just kept doing things a little bit differently. In that
Yeah,
one
they
too,
did.
And you're like, oh.
Well, let us know if that's a
Sure,
video that you'd like to
fine,
see. Because if you want to see it,
Like,
we
I'll
will
take it.
make it
Yeah.
happen. But that's going to do it for our discussion on whether we think the 1997 holds up or is better or worse than the 2016 version. Let us know what you think. Give us your thoughts and let us know if you'd like to see more videos like this one from us in the future. As
up that
always, the only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that's always the same and never changes, which today has to be.
If it's Berserk, I don't give a puck.
That's fantastic, dude.
Woo!
You are back.
Got him.
You are here.
You liked
and
it?
Yeah, I love it.
Wow. Okay.
As long as it's Berserk, I don't give a puck. Cody?
Cody.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's nothing I can
Thank
do.
you for watching. Thank you for listening. And as always, as long as it's Berserk, I don't give a puck.
We're on different wavelengths,
But it
but
was
kind of
cool.
like the Berserk adaptations, you know?
Yeah, I guess the 1980 something.
Oh,
No, you said it.
97.
No.
Wow. Okay, you can't give yourself that.
You are.
Okay.